Okay, if we know that the slope-intercept form of a linear equation is mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept and m is the slope, then we're able to work out equations for lines just by knowing a few points. For example, if I were to tell you the y-intercept of an equation is, let's say, is 2, the y-intercept of an equation is 2, or we can just write it as a coordinate. We'll say 0, comma 2, and I were to say the and I were to say the x-intercept of an equation was, let's say, 2, comma 0. How could you figure out the linear equation, the equation for this line in slope-intercept form? Well, the first part, the b, is easy. We know that the b will just be 2, because this is the y-intercept. This is supposed to be equal to the y-intercept. This 2 right here. So the b part we got down. Actually, I'll just write it later. But how do we figure out the slope part? Well, we can figure out the slope part by taking the change in x and the change in y between these two things. First, we have to see, whenever we're taking the slope or the change in y over the change in x, we are making a positive step. We're taking a small step, or a step in the positive x direction. So from here to here, the positive step would be from 0 to 2. So if I were to graph a number line, we start here and we're taking 2 steps on the x direction right here. And that would be our change in x. This number subtracted by this number. The second x subtracted by the first x. So the change in x here would be from 0 to 2, which is 2. So then this would be 2 for x. And the change in y, well, since this is the positive x direction, this decreased by 2. The y decreased by 2. Or we could go 0 minus 2. The y decreased by 2 from 0, 2 to 2, 0. So the change in y would have looked like this. If this was 1, 2, if this was the y-intercept, and 1, 2, this is the x-intercept, the change in y went down by 2. So it would be negative 2, because 0 minus 2 would be negative 2. And this is equal to negative 1. So the equation for this line will end up being y, because m will now be equal to negative 1. The equation for this line, y is be equal to negative 1 times x plus 2, or y is equal to negative x plus 2. And that's how we can find it, just by giving the x and the y intercept. Or use some other point too. You don't have to use the x-intercept. I was just using the x-intercept in this case. But yeah, stay in school.